Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. Marjorie, at 63, felt the weight of the years settle not just in the deepening lines around her kind blue eyes, but also as a persistent, dull ache on her right side. A grandmother of 3 rambunctious grandchildren, each a miniature hurricane of energy and boundless curiosity, she lived a life steeped in the gentle rhythms of the countryside. Her days unfolded like the petals of a sunflower, starting with the golden sunrise, painting the rolling hills surrounding her small cottage, and ending with the soft glow of the moon casting long shadows across the fields. But lately, the sunflower felt less vibrant, its petals drooping under a burden she couldn't quite define. It wasn't just the aches, it was the bone-deep fatigue that settled upon her like a heavy cloak, the unsettling bloating that made her favorite dresses feel too tight, and the nagging pain, a subtle but insistent throb on her right side. She attributed it to age, to chasing after her grandchildren, to the simple wear and tear of a life well lived, but a persistent worry gnawed at the edges of her mind. Her doctor, a young woman with a perpetually harried look and a warm, reassuring smile, had a different explanation. "Marjorie," she'd said, peering at the results of Marjorie's blood tests, "it seems you have a fatty liver." The words hung in the air, heavy and unfamiliar. Marjorie knew about livers, of course. She'd cooked liver and onions for her late husband George, every now and then a dish he'd always relished. But a fatty liver, that sounded unpleasant, and certainly not something she associated with herself. She'd always been a moderate woman, rarely indulging in alcohol, preferring a cup of chamomile tea to a glass of wine. "But doctor," she'd protested, "I hardly drink at all." The doctor had nodded sympathetically. "That's the thing, Marjorie. Fatty liver isn't just caused by alcohol anymore. In fact, these days, it's primarily driven by excess sugar-processed foods, unhealthy vegetable oils, and chronic insulin elevation." She explained how Marjorie's body, bombarded by years of seemingly harmless treats and convenience foods, had slowly succumbed to the insidious effects of modern diets. The constant influx of sugar and refined carbohydrates had led to insulin resistance, a condition where her cells became less responsive to insulin, the hormone responsible for shuttling glucose from the bloodstream into cells for energy. As a result, her pancreas had to produce more and more insulin to maintain normal blood sugar levels, leading to chronically elevated insulin. This excess insulin, in turn, signaled her liver to store the excess glucose as fat. Over time, this fat accumulation had overwhelmed her liver's capacity, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Marjorie left the doctor's office feeling a mix of confusion and determination. She'd always prided herself on her healthy lifestyle, on her home-cooked meals, made with fresh, local ingredients. But as she drove back to her cottage, the doctor's words echoed in her mind, forcing her to confront the hidden sugars lurking in her seemingly innocent breakfast cereals, the processed oils used in her store-bought salad dressings, and the sugary snacks she often indulged in while watching television with her grandchildren. She realized that she'd unknowingly fallen victim to the subtle but pervasive influence of the modern food environment, a world awash in cheap processed foods designed to be addictive and convenient, but ultimately detrimental to her health. That evening, as she sat on her porch, watching the fireflies dance in the twilight, Marjorie made a decision. She wouldn't let fatty liver define her. She wouldn't succumb to the fatigue and the pain. She would fight back armed with knowledge and determination. The next morning, she embarked on a journey of rediscovery, a quest to understand the true root causes of her condition and to reclaim her health. She spent hours researching non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, devouring articles and studies, seeking out reliable information from reputable sources. She learned that reversing fatty liver wasn't about finding a miracle superfood or following the latest fad diet. It was about understanding the underlying mechanisms driving the disease and making sustainable lifestyle changes that addressed those mechanisms. She discovered that the key to reversing fatty liver lay in reducing her intake of fructose, a type of sugar found in high fructose corn syrup and many processed foods. Fructose is metabolized differently than glucose, primarily in the liver, and excess fructose can directly contribute to fat accumulation in the liver. She also learned about the importance of reducing her exposure to toxins, which can overwhelm the liver's detoxification capacity and exacerbate fatty liver. She started reading labels meticulously, avoiding foods with added sugars, artificial sweeteners, and unhealthy additives. She switched to using olive oil and coconut oil for cooking, ditching the processed vegetable oils that were high in inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. And she made a conscious effort to reduce her alcohol consumption, even though she rarely drank, knowing that even small amounts of alcohol can put additional stress on the liver. But the most important change she made was addressing her insulin resistance. She learned that by reducing her carbohydrate intake, especially refined carbohydrates, she could lower her blood sugar levels and reduce the amount of insulin her pancreas had to produce. She started incorporating more protein and healthy fats into her meals, which helped to stabilize her blood sugar and keep her feeling full and satisfied. She also discovered the power of intermittent fasting, a dietary pattern that involves cycling between periods of eating and fasting. Intermittent fasting had been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and promote weight loss, all of which were beneficial for reversing fatty liver. Marjorie also learned to debunk common myths surrounding nutrition. She realized that the conventional wisdom she'd grown up with, the idea that saturated fat was inherently bad and that sodium should be severely restricted, was based on flawed science. She discovered that healthy saturated fats found in foods like grass-fed butter, coconut oil, and avocados were actually essential for hormone production and cell function. And she learned that sodium, while important to moderate, was not the enemy she'd been led to believe. She understood that it wasn't the saturated fat itself that was clogging her liver, but rather the way excess fuel, primarily from carbohydrates and fructose, was being stored as fat due to insulin resistance. As Marjorie delved deeper into the science of nutrition, she stumbled upon a wealth of information about specific foods that could help to reverse fatty liver. She learned about the incredible benefits of cruciferous vegetables, such as broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. These vegetables are rich in compounds that support liver detoxification and reduce inflammation. She started incorporating them into her daily meals, steaming them, roasting them, or adding them to her soups and salads. She also discovered the importance of high-quality meat and eggs, which are rich in methionine, choline, and essential fats. Methionine is an amino acid that plays a crucial role in liver health, while choline is a nutrient that helps to transport fat out of the liver. She made sure to choose organic grass-fed meat and free-range eggs whenever possible, knowing that these foods were more nutrient-dense and less likely to contain harmful toxins. Another key component of Marjorie's new diet was omega-3 fatty acids. which are found in abundance in fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Omega-3s have potent anti-inflammatory properties and have been shown to reduce fat accumulation in the liver. She started eating fish several times a week, grilling it, baking it, or adding it to her salads. She also began taking a high-quality fish oil supplement to ensure that she was getting enough omega-3s. Walnuts also became a staple in her diet. They are a great source of healthy fats and are low in carbohydrates. She snacked on them throughout the day, added them to her salads, and used them to make homemade pesto. Finally, she embraced the ritual of drinking green tea. Green tea is rich in antioxidants, which can protect the liver from damage. She replaced her morning coffee with a cup of green tea and sipped on it throughout the day. But Marjorie's journey wasn't just about diet. She also recognized the importance of exercise in reversing fatty liver. She started walking every day, exploring the picturesque countryside surrounding her cottage. She joined a local yoga class, which helped to improve her flexibility, reduce stress, and promote relaxation. And she started lifting weights, which helped to build muscle mass and improve her insulin sensitivity. She found that exercise not only helped to burn fat and improve her liver health, but also boosted her energy levels and improved her mood. As the weeks turned into months, Marjorie began to notice a remarkable transformation. The fatigue that had plagued her for so long began to dissipate. The bloating subsided, and her clothes started to fit more comfortably. The pain on her right side gradually faded away. She felt lighter, more energetic, and more alive than she had in years. Her skin glowed, her eyes sparkled, and her grandchildren commented on how much younger she looked. More importantly, her blood tests showed significant improvements. Her liver enzymes, which had been elevated, had returned to normal. Her insulin sensitivity had improved, and the amount of fat in her liver had decreased dramatically. Her doctor, amazed by her progress, congratulated her on her dedication and commitment. "Marjorie," she said, "you've completely reversed your fatty liver." Marjorie smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that reached all the way to her eyes. She knew that she had accomplished something truly remarkable. She had taken control of her health, armed herself with knowledge, and transformed her life. She had proven that even at 63, it was possible to reverse fatty liver and reclaim her vitality. She realized that her journey had been about more than just reversing a disease. It had been about rediscovering her inner strength, embracing a healthier lifestyle, and finding joy in the simple things in life. It was about showing her grandchildren that age was just a number, and that anything was possible with determination and a positive attitude. One sunny afternoon, as she sat on her porch sipping a cup of green tea and watching her grandchildren play in the garden, Marjorie reflected on her journey. She realized that her fatty liver had been a blessing in disguise, a wake-up call that had forced her to reevaluate her life and make positive changes. She was grateful for the knowledge she had gained, the challenges she had overcome, and the person she had become. She knew that she had many more years to live, and she was determined to live them to the fullest with energy, vitality, and a deep appreciation for the precious gift of health. The sunflower, once drooping, now stood tall and proud, its petals reaching towards the sun, a symbol of Marjorie's resilience, her transformation, and her unwavering commitment to a life well lived. One day, as she was walking through her garden, she came across a young woman who looked lost and discouraged. The woman confessed that she had just been diagnosed with fatty liver and felt overwhelmed and hopeless. Marjorie listened patiently, sharing her own story and offering words of encouragement. She told the woman that it was possible to reverse fatty liver and reclaim her health, but it would require dedication, commitment, and a willingness to make changes. She offered to mentor the woman, guiding her through the process and providing her with support and encouragement. The woman gratefully accepted, and together, they embarked on a new journey of healing and transformation. As Marjorie walked back to her cottage, she smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. Marjorie also realized that reducing stress and improving sleep played a crucial role in her liver recovery. She began practicing gentle evening meditation and going to bed earlier. Additionally, she added probiotic-rich foods like unsweetened yogurt and fermented vegetables to her diet to support her gut microbiome, a key factor in liver health. She noted that in the first few days of changing her diet, her body experienced mild reactions like fatigue or loose stools, but understood that these were normal and would soon stabilize. Thanks to these gentle yet well-directed adjustments, Marjorie's recovery progressed steadily and noticeably. And for the first time in years, Marjorie no longer felt like a patient. She felt like a guide. All it takes is a first step and the courage to keep going. Health 2660. Thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.